Hey everyone, it's Doug Schauf with the Make Maine Your Home team over here at Remax Oceanside. If you're thinking about buying a home here in Maine, first off, great choice. But we're going to talk today about what to worry about and maybe what not to worry about. When you're buying a home, chances are you're probably worried about something. You know, just this morning I had a client texting me saying I was up all night worrying about X. But that's kind of what happens when you're spending a lot of money on a home. So we're going to talk a little bit about what to worry about, what to not worry about. Maybe we'll put your mind at ease a little bit today. So let's do this. I know you're going to worry about a lot of stuff, and that's all right. Believe me when I say, like, everything can be worked out. You know, every problem and stuff that we're going to talk about here, like if you really love the house, it can be worked out. We can negotiate through just about everything. But we're going to have some fun today, and I'm going to tell you some stories, so you're going to want to stick around all the way to the end. First thing we want to talk about is rodent and wildlife intrusion. You know, you wake up in the morning, you just bought a house, you got a cup of coffee in your hand, you look over and there's a raccoon in your living room. Rodents and, wildlife, we deal with it a lot. Squirrels, raccoons, mice are just about everywhere. I mean, we got, there's woods and all that stuff here in Maine. So a lot of wildlife, and they can get in your homes if you're not careful. When an inspector is inspecting the house, they're looking for droppings, chewed wires, which can cause fires and things like that. Gaps around doors, foundations, roofs, everything can get in. I mean, bats, for example, can get in like a dime-sized hole. Story time. When I bought the current house I'm in, shortly after we bought the house, we put the kids to bed, we're hanging out, and all of a sudden I can hear in the walls or in the ceiling. Of course, I'm freaking out. I was like, what is that? I hear this and I'm like thinking through my head, I was like, could it be mice? And I was like, mice you wouldn't really hear. Mice are too small. So there's something big in the ceiling. And I'm like, oh my God. So I grab a broom and I'm like, pop. And I hear it like scurry around. It's like, oh my God, this is annoying. I'm not going to be able to sleep. Oh my God. And then, of course, I think it might be upstairs running around. And I'm like, my kids are up there. And I was like, there's no way there's this animal running around upstairs. I go crawling up the stairs with my broom. Finally, I realized that it is in between the ceiling and the floor. So we got past that. Of course, I couldn't sleep at all at night because, of course, you Google something. And, of course, there's mice that's going to, get into your mattress and your pillows. And how do you sleep when you read that sort of thing? We did contact an exterminator, and it ended up being flying squirrels in the house, which we did have to, get somebody out there to get them out and put them somewhere else and seal everything up. So it was worked out, but I definitely have a memory of that night thinking that there's something cruising around upstairs while our kids are sleeping. It is extremely common in Maine to have something like that happen when you're a homeowner. Real quick break time, guys. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to click away. Please hit subscribe because I know that a small percentage of you that are watching this aren't subscribed to the channel. I would really, really appreciate it if you did that. It helps our channel out a lot. If you like these videos and you want to learn more about Maine, just hit subscribe, hit that notify bell so you get notified of our weekly episodes. If you end up not liking the episodes, you can always unsubscribe, but it really does help our channel, and we really appreciate you watching, and thank you so much. Next up on the list to talk about is septic systems versus public sewer. It's a crappy job, but somebody's got to talk about it. A lot of people that here moved to Maine are in maybe a little bit more urban areas and you're used to public sewer, but Maine up here does have a lot of septic systems or private sewer, and you got to be mindful, and there are things to be worried about on both of those. So public sewer, for example, the sewer line going from the house out to the street, the main sewer line, is the responsibility of the homeowner. Even though you have public sewer, like a lot of people are like, oh, it's public sewer, I don't have to worry about it. Well, let me tell you a quick story here is, we do some property management. I took over and I'm managing a property. They bought the house a few months ago, and they decided not to check the sewer line. We get tenants in there and they start using the sink and the toilet and all that stuff. Well, it backed up into the basement. Really, really awful scenario. When I had the company come over to check the line, they took the cap off and instantly saw that it was full. So really, like, a quick inspection on that line would have solved that problem right from the start. But unfortunately, they had to roto-rooter it out and all that kind of stuff, and it ended up working out, but it was still a really crappy mess. To be worried about sewer and septic systems is legitimate, but we always recommend definitely get it inspected, whether it's a septic system or a private system or a public system. You're going to want to look at that no matter what, and no matter how new it is. I have had clients in the past that we inspected a brand new construction house, a brand new septic system, and found that it was installed incorrectly, and it was definitely going to back up. So highly recommend always get that done because it's expensive. A brand new septic system can be tens of thousands of dollars. Swapping out the line from the house to the main sewer line, even though it's public sewer, it can be expensive. I've had people spend $7, $8, $9, $10,000 and more to get that line replaced. So it's a big expense that you want to be worried about, since that's what we're talking about here in this video. All can be fixed, all can be, taken care of, but you got to know about it. You got to do it. If you have a private sewer, you're going to end up seeing puddles in the backyard where the leach field is maybe failing. Regular maintenance. On public sewer, there's not a whole lot to maintain aside from you can have somebody that will check the line every couple years. That might be your good maintenance there. If you have a private sewer or private septic, they recommend getting it pumped and looked at every 2 to 3 years, or 5 years, depending on how many people you have there. Just something, to be worried about, because that is a large expense. If the sewer system goes wrong, it's a big expense. So you want to be mindful of that. Maybe worry about it. Again, it can all be looked at and taken care of. Definitely get it inspected. So number 3 that we're going to talk about is proximity to amenities. Location, location, location. That's like the 3 key words for real estate. Maine's rural beauty is very appealing, but before you purchase a home, we always highly recommend that you get to know the area very, very well to make sure that everything you need is within striking distance, within the right proximity that you need, especially if you need like healthcare and hospitals and things like that. You're going to want to make sure you're close. Little tip too, when you're mapping things out, map them out in different times of the day, because nowadays, like Google and Apple Maps, they will adjust for traffic. If you're up late at night, like Googling, how far does it take to get somewhere, it might change during the day. So you're going to want to be mindful of that and check that out. Internet speeds, if you need to, work remotely, you're going to want to make sure that you're checking those things, especially if you like a rural area. You're going to want to make sure that the internet speeds are there. And really, you're going to want to prioritize what's important to you. So before you purchase a home anywhere, really, you're going to want to make sure that you're in the right location that you want to be. Location, location, location. So number 4, we're going to talk about radon in the air and the water. It is something definitely to be worried about. It is something that can be harmful to your health. So that's always something that you want to test for. So radon is a gas that's coming up out of the earth. It's coming up everywhere. We're breathing a certain percentage of it all the time. But when you're in an enclosed place and it builds up to a level that can be harmful for you, it can cause lung cancer and other things. If you Google it, you'll find out tons of information about radon air. We've been testing for probably the last 20 years-ish. In the last 10 years, it's become more and more popular to test just because we're more aware of it. We're, asking people to do it. Don't panic though, because it's something that can be mitigated in most cases very, very easily. When we talk about radon in the air and water, radon in the air, it's just a simple air test. The inspectors put a little test kit or even a digital testing thing in the lowest living area. Usually it's in the basement. Even if the basement isn't finished, like we put it down there, if you can stand up down there, it's a full basement. So the levels that they look for is 4 picoliters per square something or other. I forget the exact thing, but it's 4.0 is what we look for, all right? And if it's below that, typically you don't need a mitigation system installed. I've had people that they don't want it at all. So if it tests out at like 3.5, even though the EPA or whoever is telling you that you don't need a mitigation system, sometimes people install it because they don't want any. I've seen it very, very high too, but it is pretty easy to get rid of. Now, what they do to get rid of it, assuming that you're in a basement that has like, normal full concrete basement, slab, all that stuff. They basically put a pipe down into the floor and run it up through the house, and they put a fan up in the attic that's basically sucking the air out from underneath the foundation and putting it up in the atmosphere. And that ends up reducing the levels in the house to a safe level. That's how you do it. If you have a basement that's like a dirt floor or something like that, that gets a little more complicated. You're definitely going to want to talk to the professionals about how to get rid of that, because it's very hard to do a mitigation system if there's no concrete floor. Radon in your water is a little bit more complicated. Now, it doesn't mean you can't drink the water. It's actually the radon air that's coming out of the steam and all that stuff that you would breathe in. So like taking a shower, breathing it in, all that kind of stuff. If it is high, it can be a lot more expensive to get it out of the water. They call it a bubble up system. The way I understand it is it makes the water bubble and take it out and then send the water up through. That could be more expensive. I'm going to say somewhere between $4,000 and $7,000 to remove that from your water. So if you're on well water, you're going to want to test that for sure. If you're on public water, you shouldn't have to test it. You can usually get test results from your water company to verify that stuff is being taken care of, and it should be. Now, nowadays, we do see a lot of radon systems, air systems already installed, and that is a big benefit when you're buying a house. A lot of times when a a buyer comes in, they see the radon system there, and it should be disclosed that it's there and what the levels were, et cetera, the buyer might be really excited and not bother testing. Although we do recommend every couple of years maybe testing for radon just to make sure that that system is working. That's the radon conversation. Is it something to worry about? Yeah, yes and no. Just make sure you test for it. You know, if you're testing for it, you can take care of it very easily. Number 5, we're going to talk about just general wear and tear from good old-fashioned Maine weather. You know, everything from the harsh winters that we might have to, if you're close to the ocean, that salt air will really deteriorate your home much quicker than if you're not near the ocean. So a lot of things to look out for, you know, like roof age and condition, foundation cracks because of the cold, you know, concrete can shift and all that kind of stuff. Some cracks aren't so bad. Like I know a lot of inspectors say if it's a hairline crack going up and down, it's not bad. If it's going this way, it's bad. Heating systems, you know, boilers, heat pumps, oil tanks, all that stuff you need to maintain and keep a close eye on. Again, inspect everything. If you're buying a home, highly recommend inspecting. Your general building inspector will look at all of this. And if they see any red flags, they'll flag it, and then you can get a professional in to look at it. You know, siding, especially like I said, if you're close to the ocean, that ocean air can really deteriorate siding and roofing and things like everything exterior much quicker than if you're away from it. So you want to make sure you have the right materials there and maintain them. Make sure if it's wood siding that you're painting it and keeping up on it on a regular basis to make it last longer. Get a licensed inspector or a licensed professional to look at everything. Budget for these things, you know what I mean? Especially if you're near the ocean, you're going to want to budget for those roof repairs much quicker than a normal home. Ask the sellers what they've been doing throughout the maintenance, you know, and all that stuff to see what they should continue on, maybe what not to continue on if it's all set. You know, consider maybe a home warranty. We don't talk about home warranties probably enough, but when you do buy a home, you can get a home warranty. This is different from that car warranty that you get called about 14 times a day. The home warranties, there are some good companies out there. The cost is pretty minimal. And, you know, sometimes you might be able to negotiate in the deal, maybe have the seller buy the warranty for you, and then you have it, and it can protect you for a lot of different things. So that's definitely something to look at. So, hey guys, hopefully this was a helpful video for you. Did I miss anything? What do you worry about when you're purchasing a home? Comment below. We'd love to hear about it because I know you're worrying about something. Thanks again for watching. And remember, if you make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone. Hey, come here. Hey. YouTube thinks you're going to like one of these videos, so click on it and let me know what you think. And remember, come back again soon because we do a video every Friday.